Hi, honey.
Hi, how are you?
Not bad.
You look really pretty, by the way.
Thank you. So do you.
Thanks, I didn't do anything.
I don't feel like I'm in the camera.
So what are we discussing today, love?
Today I'm going to be talking to Haley and asking her questions about anxiety. Now we all know that anxiety anybody can get at any time for any reason. But anxiety disorder is when it interferes with your daily life or your interpersonal relationships, etc. That being said, I'm going to ask Haley some questions about her experiences with anxiety, if that's okay.
Yeah. I just don't know if I've ever been officially diagnosed as having anxiety disorder. But I know I've been told I have generalized anxiety. So I guess that's the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And whether you do or not, you do worry a lot about stuff.
I do, yes.
So we thought this would be a good topic for today.
I guess it's going to get real.
Have we talked about this, about my anxiety in the past videos?
Yeah, I think so.
We might have, yeah. So now it's Haley's turn to talk to us a little bit about it. So, first question, when did you first realize you kind of had anxiety?
Probably when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I've had it. I just didn't know that's what it was back in the day.
And what, back then, so tell us, what were some of the triggers or what kind of went on when you were a kid that now you look back and say, oh yeah, that was anxiety?
Well, I would get really nervous whenever I knew that someone was sick or had a cold and I was nearby with them. So going to school was scary because kids, you know, there's at least one sick kid in that school every day at some point.
Yeah.
And it was a small school. You know, I grew up in a small town and my school was only about, 600 kids for one school. And that's, 9th through 12th for high school. I don't know what the ratio was for elementary or junior high, but total for the high school was about 600 kids.
Wow.
So, small school, germs passed through quickly, got really cold in the winter time, and I got sick very easily. And getting sick for me physically is risky, and it was scary for me, and that's where a lot of my anxiety stemmed from. And a lot of people with my condition sadly have passed away from respiratory complications. So it's scary for me, and I still worry about if I'm taking the best care of myself physically, and if I'm not, am I going to get sick soon? And so I think the trigger would be being around sick individuals. Sick, I mean, may have a cold or a cough or a fever, a runny nose,
Anything that might be contagious.
Yeah. Another trigger for me for the anxiety is probably always having to be aware of my surroundings and the people I'm around physically also, for fracturing. I always had to watch out, and people always had to be careful around me, and also being lifted by my family just to go to the bathroom or to get dressed. Maybe deep down I was a little bit fearful of breaking. Yeah, and also crowds. I got overwhelmed really easily. So I think crowds gave me anxiety.
I've been there.
Slumber parties, things like this.
Yeah.
That was never really my thing.
Yeah.
I would rather have one friend and spend the night at a time. I never liked going to birthday parties where there was a slumber party involved. I usually never made it all the way through, and my mom would have to come with me. And I think that I had anxiety deep down. I didn't know that's what it was, but
So that
maybe it was fear of like fitting in, because I knew deep down how different I was.
and that's a little bit of social anxiety.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit, yeah.
But I didn't know,
Right,
because I've always been social and outgoing.
right.
So that wasn't the fear of talking to people. Talking to people is easy, but I think just the fear of what are they thinking about me.
As I know, as a person with social anxiety disorder, that's kind of part of it. You're constantly worrying what people think of you. It's part of it. So, but that brings me to my next question. When did you first hear about anxiety, or really learn to realize what anxiety was?
I don't know, maybe when I was in college. I did get counseling in college. I don't know why, just maybe dealing with similar things I had just described.
Now, you have a lot of very rational and rightfully so reasons for kind of getting anxious about things. Can you think of anything that's kind of irrational, like an irrational fear that you have?
I guess I get afraid of something bad happening to a loved one. Or, like you go run to the store real quick for me and like you don't make it home. Something happens to you. I guess that's irrational. Sometimes she's not good at answering her phone, and then if she's gone longer than she says she's gonna be gone, it's scary. I mean, she's never been gone like hours past, but even when I have someone here, oh, you be quiet.
Siri always thinks you're talking to her.
Stop.
Yeah, Siri. She always thinks you're talking to her. What would you call that?
Vanity. Is it vanity?
Yeah, I need to pull up a chair because my feet are going numb.
Hey, you're the one who's like, I'm gonna kneel. Even if I am not alone and she's gone longer than that I think she's gonna be gone, or she says she's gonna be gone, and she's gone longer, I automatically start to panic. Not that she's like, betraying me something, but more like something happened to her. And going off of our live feed last night, I'm sure you've seen it on there. One thing that she learned about me now, as opposed to when we met, is I like communication when we're not together. I like, if we were doing long distance, this is just me because this is how my parents are. If they're not together one night, they call each other good night, or at least text good night.
Oh, I think that's the consensus with everybody. I mean, if you're going to bed, you say good night, right?
Yeah, but sometimes I never heard from you. And
before I moved in.
yes.
Yeah, when we were long distance.
She learned that real quick. And now she's really good. Even if she's running late, she's like, honey, I'm on my way, I'm sorry, or whatever, just to let me know I'm, not gonna worry to death. You've really gotten better and learned that about me.
No, because then you'll push. You'll be very persistent, so I just have to stay on top of it and be like, tell her everything right off the bat before she starts going through these circles in her mind. All these questions that are way out in left field.
No, they're not.
I just cover my bases straight up.
Yeah, honey. But
I thought you were attacked by aliens.
You see this device? You have one. You have one of these.
I know, but it bothers me.
It's real quick.
I don't like to carry a purse, and I don't like things in my pockets. So I lose things easily, because when I carry it in my hands, and then I have to set it down, and then it gets lost. But I'm weird. I don't like carrying things. Can you describe the first experience you remember of having anxiety?
Yeah, I can tell you about an episode or a panic attack I had. My bestie and I went into town. We were going to go hang out in town like we typically like to do. And one thing that we would like to do is we'd like to go to the pharmacy. We like to go to the pharmacy and look at all the makeup and all the, lip smackers. That's one thing we were really into. We would look at all the makeup and the lip smackers and whatever the heck else we were into back then. It was just the thing to do. And my mom would drop us off and, we might just stay at the pharmacy or walk a little bit through town. My bestie is really good at, being there for me and helping me out. And she's a very trustworthy person. So my mom was not worried about leaving us because she's done it before. But for some reason this day, I was a little bit hesitant on wanting to be left in Taos City when she was going to be a half hour away. I don't know why. I was just feeling panicky that day. And sometimes with anxiety, you don't know why it happens. It just comes on without a trigger or a cause, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that day, she dropped us off at the pharmacy, and as soon as they left, I told my bestie, I said, I'm having trouble breathing. I can't breathe. And it was scary because we were left there. And luckily we're at a pharmacy. It's like a medical type place. They didn't have any oxygen.
Huh.
So we called 911. I know, drastic, but I was, what do you do in that moment? That's what you think of to do, is call 911. And so, mind you, where I'm from, it's a very small town. There's only one road. And so everyone knows everything that goes on in this town because it's so small. And we all know each other. And yeah. So the fire truck comes. It's got this siren going, coming through town, comes over to the pharmacy. I bet everyone's going, what the heck happened at the pharmacy? And so they come, they check my oxygen saturation. They put oxygen on me. They call my mom. She rushes back to Taos City and picks me up. When she could, she had to drop my brother off at an appointment 20 minutes away. So she was going back and forth, poor thing. Meanwhile, I had my best friend with me, and she was supposed to get home at a certain time.
Oh, man.
So she didn't because we had to go to the hospital. There was no time for drop-off or pickups for my friend.
And there were no cell phones back then. You guys didn't have cell phones.
No. We go to the hospital. They do some tests on my lungs. I think they just said it was a panic attack. And then a month or two after that, I had to do a sleep study. An overnight sleep study.
And how was that?
That was not fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they hook up all these different probes all over your head, all over your chest. And you have to wear this thing, like a cap thing over your head. So the what do they call those things?
Electrodes?
Yeah, so the electrodes can go on there.
Yeah.
And I had things all over.
How are you supposed to sleep
like that, right? It was really tough. It was tough. Plus they used this gel stuff to stick the electrodes on, and that freaking stunk, and I don't know, it was just not a good night. But after the sleep study, I had to go to school with oxygen on.
Oh, really?
Because they thought, maybe she's a little lower than she should be.
Right.
Plus, it's a higher altitude there.
Which you've now grown unaccustomed to since
Yeah.
you've lived here. Even I get really short of breath when I'm up there. Yeah. No
So
bueno.
I did not like going to school with oxygen on either. It was like an ego killer real quick.
So can you talk about some barriers that anxiety causes in your life?
Sure. I think it does limit me from wanting to go to a lot of places, especially a lot of people-packed places. Because not only am I dealing with people, I'm dealing with their germs as well. So I'm worried about physically catching something, and I'm worried about them not seeing me and bumping me and me getting a fracture. So it does limit me from wanting to do certain things. I used to love going karaokeing. I feel like being around people that drink is just not a appealing thing for me anymore.
And we've had a couple close calls where, big old belligerent drunk guy wasn't watching where he was going, barged right past her in the karaoke line, and
he could have bumped me. He was that close.
Turned around and kind of chuckled about it. I mean, he was having a fun time at the bar, but Haley should be able to have a fun time too, hanging out, doing what she loves, karaokeing.
Yeah, and even if I don't drink, so what?
Right.
Like, I can still go to a bar and have fun.
And have a good time with your friends and everybody.
I can still turn up.
Yeah, you can. So last question. How can somebody help now, today, when you're experiencing anxiety for any reason?
They just need to understand that, loud environments or crowded environments aren't always adequate for everybody.
Right.
And people need to understand that. And that could be for a number of reasons. That could be for a physical reason or an emotional, neurodiverse reason.
Right.
I
can relate to that.
Yeah.
Having social anxiety disorder and being on the autism spectrum, I can definitely relate to that.
Or, if getting somewhere is a risk, I know I can't limit myself completely from doing anything.
Right.
And I don't want to live in a bubble.
And you still want people to come around. It's not like you don't want to have fun.
Uh-huh.
You just need it to be a little bit more mild.
Yeah.
And cautious.
For sure. Like, I used to love going to the cannabis events that we have around here. But they're just getting to be too crowded that it's not even an enjoyable experience for me anymore.
Because it's just like a wild party where everybody's wild and not paying attention. And you'd think with cannabis, people would be more mellow.
Yeah, and aware, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
So that's why I don't really go to those anymore, because it's just too many people, and it's supposed to be a place where you think you can just kind of chill down and relax
and hang out
and not be all up, but it's still way too shoulder to shoulder event,
and people still gotta act crazy. So anything else you want to say about anxiety?
It sucks. That's all I can say about anxiety. And I know there are things to help cope with it. And, like I tell people, music is my meditation technique. Is like I put on some calming music. Angie calls it 80s porn sounding. But to me, it's calming and relaxing.
It's called mellow music.
and I love it. And that's my meditating, just kind of zoning out. Crystals are also very healing and calming.
Mm-hmm.
Certain ones.
That is true.
I like to diffuse oils. Yes, sounds cliche, but it does help. Those are my techniques that I use. And like I said, cannabis does help. All right.
Okie
Well, this is Angie and Haley
dokie.
signing out.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye.